Good morning. Hello and welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church in Pasadena. Welcome to members, friends, and guests here in person and virtually. My name is May Colcord and I am a member of your Board of Trustees. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples, the traditional caretakers of the lands and waters of this campus. With respect for the rights and wisdom of Indigenous people, we acknowledge our harmful colonial histories and commit to decolonizing our own practices, to learning new ways of being in community and with each other in good relationship with the Indigenous people of this land and with the land itself. Today's service is led by Senior Minister Reverend Dr. Omega Burkhart, with music by Associate Music Director Wells Lang, and the Neighborhood Church Choir, led today by Tenor Section Leader Michael Fausta. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. Thank you for joining us as we continue to prioritize connection over perfection in this hybrid service, which is streamed and recorded on YouTube. Today is an intergenerational service, so families with young children are welcome in the sanctuary or the narthex. There are also Thanksgiving-themed coloring books and crayons in the narthex for anyone who is interested. Today after service, we are holding a mid-year congregational meeting. We'll provide updates on church finances and hold a vote on ordaining our previous ministerial intern, Angeline Jackson. You can fill up on sweets also for the YSE fundraiser beforehand. And you can also vote online as well on Zoom. Additionally, please remember that next Sunday after Thanksgiving, there will only be one service at 10 a.m. Our order of service and more extensive announcements are available as a link in the Sunday email posted in the narthex or through the QR code on the back of our hymnal. You can always get more information on these and many other activities at the welcome table. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, whoever you are and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. Welcome to this inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service. And now, I'd like to welcome my fellow board member, Catherine Blue Holmes, up to the podium to talk about Dining for Dollars. Catherine.
Good morning. My name is Catherine Blue Holmes, and I am an enthusiastic member also of this year's Dining for Dollars campaign team, led by Martin Matthews. Today, we are launching the Dining for Dollars campaign for 2023-2024, and we need you to help us make it a success. Dining for Dollars events provide community building experiences by having fun and spending meaningful time in small groups. The bidding proceeds help our church financially. Here's how it works. Hosts and co-hosts finance their events, and guests bid and pay to attend. The church gets the bid money. And last year, Dining for Dollars raised over $15,000 for the church. So you can make a difference to the church by hosting a small group event or offering a service that people will bid on to win. Do you like to host a dinner or a brunch, appetizers and games, or music events? Can you offer a tour or teach people to cook or make stained glass or brew craft beer? Can you fix a software glitch or repair a broken faucet or lead a hike? Do you have a vacation home to lend or season tickets to a sporting event? A holiday is a great time to have an event. The possibilities are endless. So some folks co-host events with friends to share the host expenses, and the last day to offer a bid item this year will be December 31st, 2023. Item redemption for events and other bid items will take place in 2024, and the bidding will be January 21st and 28th, 2024. So please pick up a form on the patio after the service, or sign up by clicking the link on your weekly e-bulletin or on the church website. And please join us. Thank you.
From our separate joys and struggles, we come here to find the peace of balance, to find the blessing of restlessness. So write Wendy Bartell and Lynn Gardner. All are welcome here to follow, to lead, to teach, to learn. All are welcome. All are welcome to join the dance, to catch our breath. All are welcome to give generously, to receive gratefully. All are welcome. All are welcome if we are steady and composed, even if we are feeling completely lost. If we don't know what we are feeling, this community has a place for us. Here we matter. All are loved. If you are steady and poised, if you are completely lost, if you don't know what you feel, this community has a place for us. We matter. We are loved. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our gathering hymn, number 349, We Gather Together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Vasco, Neighborhood's Director of Spiritual Exploration. It's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. I hope you brought your appetites. There is a big CYSE bake sale happening just outside the doors to the sanctuary after service. Please come and pay what you will for some baked goods and help support the Children and Youth Spiritual Exploration Program. I also just briefly wanted to mention for anyone here with young children that if you want to stay for the meeting after service, childcare is available in room 6 of the program's building. And may I have all of the children and youth forward for a story for all ages, please. There you go, grab a cushion, yeah. So our November theme is generosity. And of course, this week we celebrate Thanksgiving, which is, of course, about gratitude and being grateful. So our book today is about both giving and receiving, and it's called What is Given from the Heart by Patricia C. McKissack and illustrations by April Harrison. And this is a nonviolent social change Coretta Scott King Award winner. So you're in good hands. It was a rough few months for Mama and me. We were already poor, but we got poorer last April when Daddy went to sleep on the front porch and never woke up. Mama cried and cried 'cause Daddy didn't have a suit to be buried in. Come June, we lost the farm and moved to a rundown shotgun house in the Bottoms. On Friday the 13th, it rained frogs and everything flooded. And Smitty, my dog, disappeared. Misery loves company, Mama said, shaking her head as she swept the water out the back door. I hugged her up close, the way I always did when she was sad or I was scared. Long as we have our health and strength, we are blessed, James Otis, Mama said, trying to sound brave, but things didn't get any better. We got an early snowfall in November, and Christmas was skimpy, but we made it through to the new year. For I realized February was upon us, with Valentine's Day just 2 weeks away. One Sunday, Reverend Dennis made an announcement during services. Just as we always do, we'll be delivering love boxes to needy folk in our community, he said. Irene Temple and her little girl have lost everything in a fire. We must add them to our list. Next week, bring whatever you think might be useful to them. Remember, what is given from the heart reaches the heart. What is given from the heart reaches the heart. James Otis, we need to help out, Mama said on the cold walk home. I came back with, how we going to do that, Mama? We ain't got nothing ourselves. Mama kept right on talking. Sister Bunch told me the daughter's name is Sarah. She's 7, 2 years younger than you. You can find a little bit of something for her, don't you think? I wasn't convinced. What do I have that a little girl would want? Now, said Mama. Remember what Reverend Dennis said? What is given from the heart reaches the heart. Excuse me. That night, I lay warm and toasty under one of Mama's quilts. Still made me tremble to think about fire taking away what little we did have. What can I give Sarah to make up for all she's lost, I wondered. I considered the blue ribbon I won in the school spelling bee. Nah, that award was important to me, but it wouldn't mean anything to her. I looked over at my beautiful sparkling rock, the one I found down by the creek. But how would that help Sarah? You can't eat a rock. Unable to come up with anything good, I pulled the covers over my head and drifted off to sleep. Come morning, I found Mama in the kitchen, busy sewing. I know if I had a fire, I would miss my aprons, Mama explained. So I've decided to make Mrs. Temple one. But Mama, you're using your white tablecloth, the only nice thing you have. James Otis, I'm stitching with a loving heart. My hope is that this apron will give as much joy to Mrs. Temple as the tablecloth has given to me. Mama's smile was a welcome sight. That made me study harder on what I could contribute. Maybe Sarah would like something to play with, like a whistle from Dexter Benson's birthday party, but my spit was all over it. What about my crayons? I drew so many pictures with them, even though the black, pink, and dark blue were missing. No way, I couldn't give her used crayons, and I couldn't give her my pencil that was just a nub and not much of an eraser left either. As time flew towards Valentine's Day, I fretted more and more. I considered giving Sarah a puzzle. It didn't bother me that 2 pieces were missing, but it might bother her. That wouldn't do, not even with a bow on it. And neither would my capeless Superman Halloween costume. Then I remembered my book, Things That Roll. Mama had paid 10 cents for it at the resale shop. I read it every night until I'd memorized each word, and then I drew pictures of all the stuff that rolled. Sarah might enjoy my book, I thought, but maybe she didn't like trucks and marbles and such. Still, it got me to thinking. I gathered my crayons, my pencil, and some paper and got busy. On the Sunday before Valentine's Day, we were off to church. Along the way, Mama told me, as usual, the trustees will deliver the love boxes to the homes of the needy. But Reverend Dennis has invited the Temples to receive theirs at Olive Chapel so they can meet the congregation. The church was full. Mama beamed as she carefully placed the apron in the box. When we presented the Temples with their love box filled with all kinds of clothing, food, tools, and toys, Mrs. Temple was overcome with emotion. The congregation shouted, "Amen." Can you do that? Amen. Amen. All right. Even so, Sarah seemed sad and afraid. She clung to her mama's arm and hid her face. I walked over to where they were standing. "Hi, Sarah," I said, sounding cheery-like. "My name is James Otis, and I'm pleased to meet you." "Same to you," she answered, looking at her feet. "Here," I said, handing her my gift. "I wrote it, drew the pictures, and put it together myself, just for you." He's handing her his present, a book he made special for her. Sarah managed to smile, and she stared at the book I'd made. Then, real slow-like, she came to the cover. "From My Heart to Your Heart" by James Otis Petway. It's about a little girl named Sarah, and "Don't tell me," she said. "I want to read about myself by myself." "I can't believe it," she squealed. "A book about me." Then she covered her mouth to catch a giggle. Seeing Sarah happy made me happy too. I laughed out loud. I put some hard words in so you can look them up. "You sound like my teacher." Sarah pressed the book to her heart, closed her eyes, and whispered, "Thank you, James Otis. I will keep this book forever and ever." You put a lot of love in that book. Walking home, Mama held my hand. "The Temples looked very grateful," she said. "I think we reached their hearts," I said. Mama nodded. "I'm proud of you, James Otis." "How come?" I asked. "'Cause you're you." In the winter, night comes early. The sky was darkening, and it had started to snow. I stuck out my tongue to catch a snowflake as Mama spun joyfully round and round, enjoying the snowy weather. Suddenly, Mama stopped. "Look, there's something on our porch," she said. I rushed ahead, and there it was. A love box had been delivered to us. And our hearts rejoiced. Our hearts rejoiced. The end. Okay, so this is an intergenerational service, so that means you stay in for the whole service, okay? Did you get your coloring books from the narthex? Good.
Giving is a spiritual practice through which we put our values into action. Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions to a local social justice organization or activity. In addition to the plate, online giving is available using the QR code on the donations box just outside the sanctuary or using the text instructions shown on the screen. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge or contribute to church operations, make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the donation box. This week, our gifts go to the Refugee Children's Center. Here to tell us more is Frida Ramirez Aidapa, their operations and volunteer manager. Frida?
Hi, everyone. Good morning still, 5 minutes left. Thank you for having me here. This is a big crowd. I was here at 9:30, and it was a smaller crowd, but it's great to see this intergenerational community. My name is Frida, and I'm here with the Refugee Children's Center. We are located in North Hills, which is in the San Fernando Valley. It's like the Northridge area. And we provide support for unaccompanied minors and, in general, refugee seekers from Latin America. Originally, we were providing support to families from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador when the organization was established in 2015. But due to the growing complexity, to put it simply, of migration, we have expanded our services to provide support to families coming from Latin America in general, who are Spanish-speaking or who speak indigenous languages. We have two main departments. We have the Immigration Legal Services, and we have the Children and Families Department. Our goal is to provide a healing embrace through holistic services. So we really aim to help these families, integrate into the country, which is in the day-to-day lives, like enrolling their children in school, applying for benefits, learning how to use public transportation, navigating the system in general. I was sharing earlier, which I'll share again. Right now we have a family of 6 who just arrived from Venezuela. They started their journey back in July by foot, and they just arrived to the US. And something that's very, I think a common question is, why would they do this? Why would they make such a journey? And really the only reason is because it's safer to make that perilous journey than to remain at home. I was asked this by a member earlier, and it really, got me thinking to share this with you all this second time. Forced migration is definitely something that's very real, and that we have so many privileges in this country, including myself. And I can see how privileged I am, having a home and then working with the community that I do. So I am very grateful and very humbled to work with them every day, because they really teach me a lot about, simple things in life, like the 6-year-old child who just arrived, playing with the ball and just being grateful to have a meal, at least once a day, which is, now it's more, but it's just wonderful to see them. And an anecdote I was showing earlier, too, is that they need to enroll in school. So we're helping them with that process, which is one of the things that we help families with. And because they have no medical record, the 3 young children that are 6, 9, and 14 years old all have to get at least 10 vaccines, 10 shots. So they went on Friday. We ordered an Uber for them, and mom and the 3 kids went along to get 5 vaccines. And now they have to get the other 5 next week. But it's just great to see that they'll be able to enroll in school and slowly integrate into the community, which, like I mentioned, is our ultimate goal, for them to be self-empowered so that they can, in turn, continue helping their communities. And we provide, like I said, legal support and social services support. So through the legal support, we can either provide direct services so that they don't have to spend money on attorneys if it's simple processes like change of address or other simple things related to asylum, because we have partial accreditation from the Department of Justice. But when it's more complex, such as a full-on asylum case, which, by the way, is very difficult to obtain asylum, the approval rate is less than 10%. It's very small. So we help them obtain low bono attorneys. The consultation is usually pro bono, which they don't have to pay, and from there We actually, if they do have minors, often provide a stipend. So we provide the retainer, which is like the down payment to the attorney that we work with, which is great that they are low bono already, because these cases can be $20,000, $30,000 upwards because of the complexity. And we are able to work with attorneys that provide much reduced rates, but they still, it's difficult to afford this, very extremely difficult, paying rent, learning a new language. Some of our families are indigenous, so they're learning English and Spanish at the same time, and it's actually the responsibility of the little ones falls on them to teach their parents the languages. So we are able to help them with that so that they can also make monthly payments with the attorneys, which is great. And we also have the Children and Families program, which helps with, enrichment activities for young ones from, 3 to 5 year olds to teens, also to moms. And we're trying to open dads group too, which is a little more complex with the dads, to get them to open up, especially after such difficult journeys. But we are getting there. Like I said, dental support, medical, really everything that will help them integrate into the country. We don't provide direct housing services because we're not able to do that. We just house families temporarily when there is really no other option, because LA housing right now is very difficult to navigate. We also help with that, but the wait list is very long. So we really just aim to be, healing embrace, because they've been through very difficult journeys. So I think that's it on my end. If you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Frida. Would the volunteers please come forward? We thank you in advance for giving generously.
Our reading this morning is a selection from Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. She writes, "Most summer mornings of childhood, I woke to the sound of the outhouse door, the squeak of the hinge followed by the hollow thunk as it shut. I rose to consciousness through the hazy sound of bierdos and thrushes, the lapping of the lake, and finally the sound of my father pumping the tank on that old Coleman stove. By the time my brothers and sisters and I emerged from our sleeping bags, the sun would just be topping the eastern shore, pulling the mist off the lake in long white coils. The small 4-cup coffee pot of battered aluminum, blackened with the smoke of many fires, would already be thumping. Our family spent summers canoe camping in the Adirondacks, and every day began this way. I can picture my father in his red-checked wool shirt standing atop the rocks above the lake. When he lifts the coffee pot from the stove, the morning bustle stops. We know without being told that it's time to pay attention. He stands at the edge of camp with the coffee pot in his hands, holding the top in place with a folded pot holder. He pours coffee out on the ground in a thick brown stream. The sunlight catches the flow, striping it amber and brown and black as it falls and steams in the cool morning air. With his face to the morning sun, he pours and speaks into the stillness. Here's to the gods of Tahaus. The stream runs down over smooth granite to merge with the lake water, as clear and brown as the coffee. I watch it trickle, picking up bits of pale lichen and soaking a tiny clump of moss as it follows a crack to the water's edge. The moss swells with the liquid and unfurls into the sun. Then and only then does he pour out steaming cups of coffee for himself and my mother, who stands at the stove making pancakes. So begins each morning in the North Woods, the words that come before all else. I was pretty sure that no other family I knew began their day like this, but I never questioned the source of those words, and my father never explained. They were just part of our life among the lakes, but their rhythm made me feel at home, and the ceremony drew a circle around our family. By those words, we said, "Here we are," and I imagined that the land heard us, murmured to itself, "Oh, here are the ones who know how to say thank you." And thus ends our reading.
Set me free to find
In the reading from Robin Wall Kimmerer, she recalls the ritual of gratitude that she witnessed her father perform each morning of her youth while they were on family camping trips. And she describes how she was taught gratitude for the land, for the souls of the mountains and their protectors, not through words, but through observing her father perform this ritual with his coffee. She would be woken up by the sounds of the percolator coffee pot on the camp stove and the smell of fire, the haziness of her dreams intermingling with the sounds of water lapping at the lake's edge, and the colors of her father's flannel shirt, browns and ambers of coffee returned to the dirt of the earth in gratitude. Rituals that we are grateful for, as well as rituals of gratitude. I hear both of those in Robin Wall Kimmerer's story. In fact, if you're not familiar with it, her whole book, Braiding Sweetgrass, is a love letter to integrating the gratitude that she has for the ways her ancestral knowledge of her family were passed down to her, as well as a celebration of the rituals themselves, both the teachings and the rituals. In this part of the world, fall is well underway. I am still learning what that means for Los Angeles, but I'm getting there. A season of reflection as we head into winter, a period of taking stock, of giving thanks, and also of mourning the scarcity that still exists in our world. And it's also a celebration for what we have, a celebration using food as a metaphor for abundance, and an act of giving rooted in these rituals and traditions. Gratitude and generosity, of course, are related, for one springs forth from the other and vice versa. This month, as we explore the theme of generosity, and this week, as many of us are gathering in the celebration of giving thanks, I invite all of us to think of how these themes are interrelated and foster each other in our own lives. For many of us, this is a time of gathering, either with family or chosen biological family, or other rituals that help us reunite with lineages of our ways of being. Other ways we want to honor those taught to us by other people, those we want to teach to others. Some approach the week of Thanksgiving with feelings of ambivalence. That is true. On the one hand, perhaps in the best case scenario, we want to celebrate a spirit of abundance with a few days off of work or school. Perhaps we see some loved ones we haven't seen for a while. We prepare some family recipes. Maybe we have certain other rituals that involve football that we might engage in. But for others, we face this week knowing that it also represents something painful, because it does represent a celebration of colonial history that was and is still harmful, one that we are trying to reconcile. And still for others, there is more mourning than celebration, especially if family history is painful, and it's a reminder of gatherings we'd rather had never happened in the first place. My guess is that for most of us, including myself, it's a mixture of all of the above. I know for me, as I grow older and my life circumstances have changed so drastically in the past several years, I can't help but approach this season with a mental slideshow of past holidays, those spent in my youth with my family in St. Louis. And of course, this time of the year for me in my youngest years meant that we would soon be returning to southern Mexico. Later in my life, in my young adulthood, these holidays were marked by that first one in the move from the kid to the adult table. And later, when I was a young mother, trying to remember or recreate my own family's recipes for my own table, or deciding not to make some at all that I didn't like. Turns out, no one missed them. A little editing, we can do that. Like so many patterns in our lives, sometimes we don't realize that something has become a ritual until it ends. There was a ritual when my children were very young that my husband helped me establish that I will always be grateful for. Early on Thanksgiving morning, I would travel the 45 minutes or so to my parents' house to help my mom bake pies and set the table before my young kids arrived. Well, those were the official reasons. The real reason is that I went to have a glass of wine at ease and spend uninterrupted time with my mom that had become so scarce when I became a mother myself. Of course, it wasn't until my mother's passing and the establishment of my own rituals with my now young adult children that I began to realize how important those Thanksgiving mornings were. Now I bake pies with my own kids, and I honor my mom and my grandmother before her by wearing an apron that my grandmother sewed in the 1970s before I was born to bake my own pies. I'll probably toast to my mom, too. There are ways that we carry these important rituals. They may seem small, but they're important, that we must navigate either consciously or unconsciously. Little bits of family lore or ways of doing things that become rituals that orient us in the world. Robin Wall Kimmerer's book is a testament to this. Her life work as an indigenous botanist is a testament to this integration of these rituals, these ways of knowing from her ancestry into her life's vocation. When reading her selection the other day in preparation for this service, I was reminded of another piece of writing that speaks to how we navigate the unknown, unfolding paths of our lives by the small rituals that we do to bring comfort and familiarity. I originally was going to just read a selection of this writing, but I think I will read the whole piece, given the context of our world. In the poem Gate A4 by Palestinian writer Naomi Shihab Nye, she equates a traveler bringing a plant as a way of finding groundedness and rootedness in the world. She writes, wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal, after learning my flight had been delayed for hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor, wailing. "Help," said the flight agent. "Talk to her. What's her problem?" We told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped to put my arm around the woman, and I spoke haltingly. "Shudowa, shudbikuk habiti, stani shwe min fadlik, shubut siwi?" The minute she heard any words that she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for major medical treatment the next day. I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get there, just later. Who is picking you up? Let's call them." We called her son. I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother until we got on the plane and then ride next to her. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and he spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took up 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling of her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamul cookies, little powdered sugar crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts from her bag, and was offering them to all of the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo. We were all covered with the same powdered sugar and smiling. And there is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free apple juice from the huge coolers, and 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag. Some medicinal thing with green, furry leaves. Such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around the gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in. The shared world. Not a single person in that gate. Once the crying of confusion stopped, not a single person seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those women too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. Not everything is lost. We hold tight to these rituals of people and place to remind us where we have been, like a potted plant, of what and who we choose to be, the sharing of juice and cookies, and how we aspire to be in the world, connected and in community. Both in Robin Wall Kimmerer's words and those of Naomi Shihab Nye, we hear how those small rituals of gratitude are born by and give way to generosity. And in this way, generosity and gratitude are handmaidens to each other in a spirit of abundance, not scarcity. So in what ways are you grateful? In what ways are you generous, either with your time, your energy, or other resources? Do you notice that you are more generous when you are grateful? or the other way around? What shape would our lives take if we celebrated abundance with generosity, even amidst scarcity, a deep and daily thanksgiving for even the smallest graces in our lives? The phrase for Thanksgiving in Spanish is El Día de Acción de Gracias, the day of acting on grace, the day of making action towards being thankful. What would our world look like if we intentionally and purposefully lived into giving thanks for the grace in the world, of creating rituals and acts of generosity? This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. This week, let us find moments of gratitude, perhaps through just a small ritual of thanks. And then maybe we turn that into just an extra bit of generosity, because this can change our world, even amidst the moments of the most strain. In fact, especially amidst the moments of strain. This can change the world. So honor your traditions, honor your rituals, and create new ones to pass on to others in your lives. Perhaps that is honoring Earth Mother with a simple blessing, a pouring out of coffee in the morning light and saying, thank you. Perhaps it is putting on your mother's apron while you bake a pie. Perhaps it's carrying a traditional food with you in your bag to somewhere new and sharing it with others in an act of generosity and abundance. For as Robin Wall Kimmerer states, even a wounded world is feeding us. Even a wounded world holds us, giving us moments of wonder and joy. I choose joy over despair, not because I have my head in the sand, but because joy is what the earth gives me daily, and I must return that gift. May it be so.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
Writes Ariel Astoria, I don't want to carry gratitude in seasons. I want to carry it in my bones. I want it to rest on my tongue like it's a language that I never stop speaking. May it be so with you today as you go out into the world. Carry your gratitude in your bones. Speak it like a language you will never forget. And let it remind you of the generosity you are capable of. And let that generosity change the world. Amen.
Amen.